welcome to the deep dive. This is where we journey into those, really enigmatic locations around the world, places that are kind of shrouded in mystery, the spots Google Earth can't quite seem to explain fully. Today, we're taking all that research you sent over the articles, the notes, and we're going to distill it down, get you the most potent nuggets of knowledge. Think of it as your personal shortcut to really understanding these incredible mysteries.
Yeah, absolutely. And these aren't just like random dots on a map, are they? We're really diving deep into sites that fundamentally challenge how we understand things. They push the boundaries of science, of history, and even just the basic idea of accessibility. You're going to encounter, well, all sorts of mysteries today. Hidden government bases, chilling legends, untouched natural wonders, and some strange phenomena that still don't have easy answers.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's jump right into the enigmas of secrecy. Places where governments and sometimes even nature itself draw a really firm line. First stop, it's a classic for a reason. Area 51, Nevada. Probably the most famous secret military base in the world, right? Tucked away about 80 miles northwest of Vegas. Officially, it's Homey Airport or Groom Lake.
And for decades, its real purpose was just completely hidden, intense secrecy. It basically became a legend. It was officially declassified back in 2013, so now we know it's a U.S. Air Force base for developing and testing experimental aircraft weapons systems.
Yeah.
The really cool stuff.
Like the U-2.
Exactly, the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, and that groundbreaking F-117 Nighthawk stealth tech. But all those decades of secrecy, especially during the Cold War, well, that just lit a fire under speculation. Crashed UFOs, alien technology, actual extraterrestrials.
Right, and didn't people report seeing strange lights?
Oh, constantly. Those eyewitness accounts of weird lights in the sky, that really fueled the theories.
It's funny how even now with all our satellite tech, the public images of Area 51 were often still kind of blurred or low res. Almost keeps the mystique going.
Yeah.
So, high-res commercial images do exist now. If you dig around, you can actually see quite a bit of the layout. And remember that whole storm Area 51 thing in 2019?
Oh, yeah, that was wild online.
Total online sensation. It fizzled in reality, but it just showed how fascinated people still are with this place. So for you listening, the takeaway here is maybe this. Once you plant those seeds of extreme secrecy, the myths that grow can sometimes become, well, bigger and more influential than the truth, even when it eventually comes out. Shapes how people see things for ages.
That's a really good point because, the blurring for Area 51 might be a bit of a legacy thing now, but Pine Gap in Australia, that shows us how secrecy is actively maintained today.
Ah, Pine Gap. Right, often called Australia's Area 51. It's this super secretive satellite surveillance base run jointly by Australia and the U.S. down near Alice Springs. The official name is Joint Defense Facility Pine Gap, JDFPG.
And its main job is signals intelligence.
Yeah.
Basically scooping up a huge range of global communications, phone calls, radio, data, you name it. Its covert nature absolutely earns it that Australia's Area 51 nickname. It's a key piece of the U.S. global intelligence network.
So it's involved in things like early warning systems.
Early warning, counterterrorism, military comms, and yeah, there are persistent claims it supports drone operations too.
And visually, it's got those distinctive, big, white, golf ball-looking things, right? The radomes.
Exactly, loads of them. And getting anywhere near it, forget it. Extremely restricted access, massive exclusion zone.
So the bigger picture for you, the listener.
Well, Pine Gap really drives home the sheer scale of modern global intelligence gathering. And the huge geopolitical questions it raises for the host nations. Debates about sovereignty, about becoming a potential target. It's complex.
And that idea of a nation's own secret infrastructure, its hidden strategic assets, that leads us straight to Mezhgorye in Russia, a really mysterious city. This is a closed town, a Z-toe, deep in the southern Ural Mountains near Mount Yamantau. Its existence, what goes on there, it's all a closely guarded state secret.
Yeah, the big mystery around Mezhgorye is that it's widely thought to be linked to this massive underground complex right inside Mount Yamantau, supposedly under construction for decades, maybe since the Soviet days.
What do they think it is?
Well, theories are all over the place. A huge nuclear bunker, like a command center for the top brass, kind of like Cheyenne Mountain in the U.S.
Okay.
Or maybe storage for national treasures, or just a major strategic military base. And Russia was famously cagey when the U.S. asked about it back in the 90s. That just deepened the mystery, So
what's the takeaway here? Mezhgorye kind of reminds us that even with satellites watching, powerful nations still build these huge hidden things. It speaks to this deep need for control, for survival maybe, Makes you wonder about the true scale of state-level preparedness.
And from that kind of deliberate state-level secrecy, we shift gears completely. Let's talk about North Sentinel Island, India, home to a tribe that's truly, utterly untouched by the modern world.
Right, part of the Andaman Islands, home to the Sentinelese, one of the very last uncontacted peoples on the planet. The mystery here is just profound. This tribe has lived in total isolation for what, thousands of years?
Yeah, potentially tens of thousands. They've developed their own unique culture, language, hunter-gatherer lifestyle, completely separate. And they are famously, fiercely protective of that isolation. They respond with hostility, often bows and arrows, to any attempt at contact.
And the Indian government has a strict policy, right? Like, you can't go near it.
Exactly. A strict non-interference policy. It's illegal to approach within 5 nautical miles. It's partly to preserve their culture, which is crucial. But maybe even more importantly, it protects the tribe from diseases, things we carry that they have zero immunity to.
And that tragedy in 2018 with the American missionary John Allen Chau.
Yeah, that tragically highlighted the very real risks of trying to break that isolation.
So for you listening, this is just this rare, living example of extreme human isolation. It forces us to ask really big ethical questions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About respecting self-determination versus that human impulse to connect. And it really underlines the importance of conservation. Preserving these unique human ways of life makes you think about what progress even means.
Absolutely. And that idea of raw, untouched processes. That brings us nicely to Surtsey Island in Iceland, Earth's youngest natural lab, basically.
Surtsey. This is a volcanic island that literally just appeared off Iceland's coast. One of the youngest islands on Earth. Named after Surtur, the Norse fire giant. Which is pretty fitting.
Totally fitting. It burst out of the sea in this spectacular eruption that started November 14th, 1963, and it kept going for almost 4 years, finally stopping in June 67.
So why is it so important? What's the mystery or significance?
Well, it's this unique natural laboratory. Scientists study something called primary succession there, which is basically how life starts colonizing brand new land from absolute scratch, like watching an ecosystem build itself in real time. They meticulously track the arrival of the very first plants, birds, insects, microorganisms. It gives incredible insights into how ecosystems work right from the beginning.
So you can't just go visit then?
Oh, definitely not. Public access is strictly forbidden. Only a tiny number of scientists get permission under really stringent rules to avoid any contamination. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, too. For you, Surtsey is like a live-action blueprint for how life begins in a new place. It shows the resilience of life, and it's a cool reminder that our planet is still actively creating new land.
Okay, so Surtsey is land being born. Our next spot is about land that, well, it moves in a very weird way. Let's talk about the eye in Argentina. This really peculiar thing in the Paraná Delta.
Right, the eye. It's visually striking, isn't it?
It blew my mind when I first saw the satellite pictures. I mean, it's an almost perfectly circular island, about 120 meters across, floating in an equally perfect circle of water. But here's the really wild part.
It rotates.
Yeah, it apparently floats and rotates on its own axis within the water. It sounds completely made up.
It really does. And it was that weird perfection that caught the eye of an Argentine filmmaker, Sergio Nuspeller, back in 2016. He found it on satellite imagery. And there's still no definitive scientific explanation for why it rotates.
So what are the theories?
Well, people suggest maybe unique geological formations underground, some kind of sinkhole dynamic, or maybe the river current interacting with its perfect shape somehow. Of course, you get the paranormal or alien speculation, too. But there's zero scientific evidence for that.
And getting there is tough, I imagine.
Incredibly tough. It's remote, it's marshy, so satellite or aerial views are pretty much the only way to observe it right now. For you, it's just this mesmerizing example of natural geometry, unexplained mechanics. And it makes you wonder about the hidden forces under our feet, you know? Right. Even in a mapped world, some things are just weird.
Okay, from nature's oddities, let's dive into buried secrets and scientific frontiers. Starting with the legendary tomb of Qin Shi Huang in China, and those famous rivers of mercury.
Right. The mausoleum of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, near Xi'an. Most people know it because of the Terracotta Army, discovered in 74. Thousands of life-size soldiers, horses, chariots, guarding the emperor. Amazing sight.
But the real mystery is the tomb itself, the burial chamber. It's still sealed, right? Unexcavated.
Exactly. And ancient records, like Sima Qian's Records of the Grand Historian, written about a century after the emperor died, describe this incredibly elaborate tomb with features like, quote, rivers and lakes of mercury meant to represent China's actual rivers.
Rivers of mercury, it sounds like legend.
Well, here's the thing. Modern science has actually backed this up, to an extent. Surveys using things like soil analysis have detected abnormally high concentrations of mercury in the soil right above the unexcavated tomb mound.
Whoa, so Sima Qian might have been telling the truth.
It certainly lends strong credence to his account. It's pretty astonishing.
So why haven't they opened it with that kind of discovery?
Several big reasons. There's a huge fear of damaging the incredibly delicate artifacts inside once they're exposed to air, plus the very real health hazard of all that mercury vapor. And then there's also deep cultural and ethical respect for the emperor's final resting place.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So for you, this is this amazing meeting point of ancient legend and modern science. It gives us this rare confirmed glimpse into the, well, opulent and possibly deadly secrets of an emperor's tomb. Secrets that maybe future tech will let us see properly one day.
From ancient secrets guarded by mercury, let's jump to modern science and the mysteries that sometimes get spun around it. Let's talk about GAKONA, Alaska, and HAARP.
Right, HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, that big antenna field near GAKONA. Officially, its purpose is purely scientific research. It's designed to study the ionosphere, that electrically charged layer way up in the atmosphere, 60 to 1,000 kilometers up. They use this powerful array of radio transmitters to basically temporarily excite or heat up a small patch of the ionosphere to study how it behaves. It's run by the University of Alaska Fairbanks now, since 2015.
But despite that clear scientific mission, HAARP has become this absolute magnet for conspiracy theories, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, all sorts of wild claims. That it's a weapon to control the weather.
Causing earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes.
Or a mind control device or some other kind of secret military superweapon.
And scientists have to constantly debunk these things. They explain that HAARP's power output is actually tiny compared to natural forces, like the energy from the sun hitting the ionosphere. It's nowhere near enough to influence global weather or control mines. The energy just dissipates incredibly quickly in that vast upper atmosphere.
And yet, the theories just stick around, despite the science. It's fascinating, isn't it? Is there something about the scale? The ionosphere seems so big and mysterious, maybe? Or these big facilities just look powerful. For you, HAARP is really a compelling case study.
Yeah.
It shows that tension between real science looking into complex systems and that human tendency to sometimes grab onto simpler, more dramatic explanations for big events.
Shifting to another kind of extreme environment, let's go to Vostok Station, Antarctica, and the incredible idea of life hidden under miles and miles of ice.
Vostok Station, yeah, the Russian research base, famous for holding the record for the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth naturally, like minus 89.2 Celsius, or minus 128.6 Fahrenheit, just unbelievably cold.
Unimaginably cold. But the real mind blower is what's underneath it. It sits directly above Lake Vostok, this enormous freshwater lake completely buried beneath 3,700 to 4,300 meters. That's like 2.3 to 2.7 miles of solid ice.
Wow, miles of ice.
And get this. Scientists estimate that lake has been totally isolated from the surface, sealed off from the world, for somewhere between 15 and 25 million years. Million, yeah. Which makes it incredibly interesting for astrobiology. Scientists think it might harbor unique, ancient microbial life forms. Organisms adapted to total darkness, immense pressure, weirdly high oxygen levels, conditions that just rewrite the rules for life.
So finding life there would be huge.
Absolutely huge. And it's also seen as a fantastic analog, a practice ground for searching for life on other worlds, like those potential subsurface oceans on Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Enceladus. Icy moons are prime candidates for alien life.
And didn't the Russians actually drill down to it?
They did, a massive effort. They successfully penetrated the ice sheet and reached the lake water back in February 2012. Using incredibly careful thermal drilling techniques to avoid contaminating this pristine, ancient environment.
That's incredible. So Vostok really pushes our understanding of where life can even exist. It has at these vast, unexplored ecosystems hidden right here on Earth beneath our feet, or ice sheets, and gives us clues about finding life beyond Earth. Makes you realize how much we still don't know about our own planet, let alone others.
Definitely. And for our final stop, we move from hidden life to a hidden event, maybe? Lake Anjikuni, Canada.
Yeah.
And this really chilling legend of a vanishing village. A story that's become a mystery itself.
Okay, Lake Anjikuni. It's a real lake up in Nunavut, northern Canada, Inuit territory. But the mystery is this deeply unsettling, unsolved legend about an entire Inuit village just vanishing without a trace back in November 1930.
Yeah, the classic telling of the story involves a fur trapper, Joe LaBelle.
Right. LaBelle supposedly arrives at this familiar Inuit settlement and finds it completely deserted. Cooking pots still over cold fires with food in them, tools scattered around like people just dropped them. But no people, no signs of a struggle. And crucially, no tracks leading away from the village in the snow.
Super eerie.
Totally eerie. And then there were details like sled dogs found starved and tied up, and later reports of disturbed graves nearby. It just piles on the creepiness.
Yeah.
Gives you goosebumps.
It absolutely does. It's a very compelling, spooky story. And it got really wide attention thanks to Frank Edwards' 1959 book, Stranger Than Science.
Okay, but is it true?
Well, that's the critical issue. There is a complete lack of official corroboration. The RCMP, the Mounties, have stated repeatedly they have absolutely no record of such an event happening in 1930. No report from anyone named Joe LaBelle about a vanished village.
So it's not, that might just be a story.
Many researchers think it's largely a fabrication or at least a massive embellishment, maybe started from an unreliable source. Frank Edwards, while popular, was kind of known for retelling sensational stories without always verifying them thoroughly.
Right. So for you, the listener, Anjikuni serves as this classic example. It shows how a really compelling, creepy story can just take root and spread like wildfire, becoming an urban legend. It really highlights our human fascination with unexplained disappearances and that blurry line between a mysterious anecdote and something you can actually, verify. Always check your sources. So after all that, what does it all mean for us? These places. They aren't just dots on a map, are they? They feel more like portals, maybe, to the very edges of what we know, testing the limits of our understanding of the planet and ourselves.
Yeah, what really stands out looking across all these locations is how each one guards its secrets. Sometimes it's deliberate, by design, like Area 51 or Pine Gap. Other times it's nature itself creating the isolation, like Surtsey or Lake Vostok. But there's always this sense of more to uncover.
We've definitely tried to unpack the official stories, touch on some of the wilder theories, look at the science, hopefully giving you that shortcut to understanding why these spots stay so captivating.
And this whole journey kind of raises a bigger question, doesn't it? In a world with more and more satellite eyes, constant connection, what does it even mean for something to be a mystery anymore? And why do we still have this persistent human need to try and solve them?
Good question. Well, for you, the listener, we really hope this deep dive leaves you not just, well-informed, but maybe with a renewed sense of wonder about all the known and especially the unknown corners of our world. And here's a final thought to chew on. How many other truly mysterious places might still be out there? Not showing up on any map, maybe hidden deep in our oceans, or perhaps even just beneath the surface of our everyday lives, just waiting for curiosity to find them.